Josh, the driving instructor here. Today we're going to look at how to parallel park. Again, it's one of the maneuvers, so it is an absolute must-know, but don't worry, because today I'm going to show you step by step how we do a successful parallel park every time. So a parallel park is when you're expected to park between two cars on the side of the road. So when you do this on your driving test, you're more likely to be asked to park behind one car and within 2 car lengths, just because I don't want to risk with someone who hasn't yet passed their driving test. Now, when you have your position, you want to make sure that you're nice and central in the road. You don't want to be too close to that curb, and you don't want to be too close to the car. This just makes it easier, so when your car swings around, you're not going to swing into the curb, and there's no risk of swinging into the car either. Now, we're using the 1-2-1 formula. This way, it creates a habit. It's really easy to remember. You can do it in anyone's car, and it creates routine. Now, the easiest way that I like to remember it is lovely red roses. Lovely being left, red is right, roses is right. So at this point, we're going to begin by turning the wheel a full turn to the left. We look behind us in the direction that we're turning, and we begin to slowly reverse the car. Now, the important part here is really keeping it slow. There's no bonus points for going quick here. The examiner is going to expect you to do all of your maneuvers really slowly to keep it really safe and make sure that you're not going to hit anyone or any car. Step 5 is looking in the left side mirror. Now, in your side mirror, you should be able to see the curb along with the car. What I like to look for is a slice of pizza. Now, when I start seeing that slice of pizza in the back of the car looks like it's almost going onto the curb, this is a time you should stop your car. This is where the red roses come in. We need to turn the wheel now 2 times to the right. This will bring the front of the car in and the back of the car away from the curb. Once we've done this, we continue moving the car very slowly back while looking behind us to make sure it's clear. At this point, we need to now decide, are we too close to the curb? Are we too far from the curb? Or is it perfect? If it's perfect, then that's great. Straighten up your wheels, go back ever so slightly if need be, and stop the car. If, however, we're too close to the curb, then you're going to need a bit of extra turning, which means turn your wheel away from the curb even more. If we're too far from the curb, then I'd advise turning the wheel around half a turn back towards the curb. This will just bring the back of the car closer into the curb, but don't forget you're going to need to do a full turn to the right in order to bring the front of the car back in. Now, don't forget, if all else fails, it is not the end of the world. You can just move the car forward and reverse back again if necessary. This is absolutely fine on a driving test, although it may incur a minor. Who cares as long as you're successful in your parallel park? Okay, so now we're going to have a look at a parallel park from a first-person perspective. So, as you can see here, I've lined my car up with their car. I've left at least a door's width to the car. I just want to make sure that my car is slightly, ever so slightly further back than theirs. So my mirror is just slightly further back from theirs. Plenty of room to the curb, pop it in reverse. I'm now going to turn the wheel once to the left. For the lovely of the red roses, I'm now going to gently begin to start moving the car while looking behind me towards where I'm actually parking. And I'm just occasionally looking around the road at the same time. Now I'm looking in this mirror here and I'm looking for a slice of pizza. And what I mean by that is if we just stop there for a second, you can see the curb and you can see the car, and that sort of makes a slice of pizza. When the back of the car looks like it's meeting the curb, that's when I need to start turning to the right. So there we go. So we've got a nice 45-degree angle of the car in the road. We've got a slice of pizza with the car and the curb. So now I'm just going to dry steer 2 turns to the right. So that's 1 and that's 2. Just check around that way again. It is clear. So now again, I'm looking behind me and I'm looking in that mirror and I'm just deciding if we're going to be too close, too far, or perfect. And it's looking pretty good at the moment. Just check there's no one around to the right again, and it seems to be clear. And again, we're looking pretty healthy to that curb. In fact, if anything, I'm slightly too close. So I'm just going to turn the wheel away from the curb a bit more, because it's always the direction that you want the car to go. And I want the back of the car to go away from the curb. And that's absolutely perfect there. So I'm just going to turn my wheel now 1.5 turns to straighten my wheels out. So that's a half and there's a hole. So that's 1.5 turns. I'm looking behind me again. And I'm just making sure that I'm happy with that. And that is absolutely spot on. Great. So there's a couple of things that can go wrong with a parallel park. The first one is you end up oversteering and your car goes at too big an angle, greater than 45 degrees, and you end up getting too close to the curb. This can be corrected. I'll show you this one first. Okay, so I do one turn to the left. I'm slowly reversing the car. Now I'm looking in that mirror and I'm looking for a slice of pizza. But unfortunately, this time I've gone too far. The car's gone too close to the curb. And I've left it too long. So I'll do 2 turns, that's 1, 2. And I'm actually gonna steer even more, but I think it's too late. I think if I continue now, we're probably gonna end up hitting that curb. So I stop before I do. I admit defeat with that. I pop it into first gear. I fully lock the wheel round to the left, and I just gently try and move this car within up to half a meter of this car in front, but no closer than that. And that should be plenty there. Stop the car, fully lock the wheel to the opposite way again, pop it back into reverse, look in that mirror, and it looks like we've got a bit more room now. So now I'm looking behind me again, after making sure it's all clear around me, and I'm just gently reversing the car back until I think it's straight. To decide if it's straight, I just need to look at the car in front, decide if I'm parallel with that car, and then just straighten my wheel if I believe I am. Now remember, you can do this with it up to 2 car lengths. So I'm about 1.5 car length. So if I go back a bit further, I've got all the way to at least there to do this parallel park. So there is no big rush. Okay, second main thing that can go wrong. I'm next to the car. I do 1 turn to the left. I'm looking behind me and I'm looking at that curb as well through the little mirror. I'm looking for a pizza slice. I think I've got the pizza slice. Just check the other way briefly. I think I've got the pizza slice. So I turn the car 2 turns because we've got the red roses back. And I've ended up too far from the curb. So I'm too far from the curb. So what do? Well, I've still got a car. I've got half a car's length to turn this car now. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn the wheel, 1 turn to the left, look behind me, and slowly, hopefully move this car a bit closer to the curb. I'm gonna have to do another whole turn here just to get the car really going to that curb again. This is a lot smaller slice of pizza this time, but it's still absolutely fine. I'm still within my car's length. So I'm turning the wheel 2 turns to the right again, hoping I'm gonna go a bit more than that because I've got myself very close to the curb this time, but I'm within 2 car lengths. So that is absolutely hunky-dory. I'm just moving forward because that's absolutely fine to do on the parallel park. May incur a minor. Doesn't really matter if it does as long as you pass your driving test. And we are happy as Larry. Well done. Okay, last problem that can occur on a parallel park. This doesn't happen on all roads, but roads around here where they're quite narrow, I've positioned myself too far from the car and I've actually positioned myself very close to this curb. So if I do my turn to the left now, my full 1 turn, as the car goes round, the front of the car actually has hit the curb. Okay, so that would be a test fail. So we need to make sure we position ourselves right in the center so we don't end up in that situation. That is it for the parallel park video. If you found that has helped or you want to see some more, get yourself subscribed and don't forget to like the video. If you think I've missed anything or you've got any questions at all, you can either join the Discord or get it in the comments below. And I wish you all the best on your driving journey.